Let's go. Today we will continue with question number 20, 21, 22, and 23. Just make sure you watch it to the end so that you get the best. If you are new here, kindly click the red subscribe button and also click the notification bell, because I will make sure I solve these questions towards 50 and also pick some other questions that would help us to prepare well for biology this year. Okay, let's start with question number 20. Which part of the flower is responsible for the protection of young flower buds? Let's start with the meaning of young flower buds. We are talking about young flower buds. It is what is the elementary stage of what of the flower. You know, living thing must what must grow. Like if I should compare it with what happens in the human race and all that, you will see that when a baby is born, the baby is will be nurtured and nurtured. The growth would happen and all that to become a man, and that same baby could also become a woman, right? So this same process is what happens to this very young flower bud at that particular time. It is at the infant stage of the flower. And you know, when you were still small, you know how your mommy would protect you, would nurture you in a way that because she knew that any mistake and all that could cause another thing, and growth might not be seen. So just note that it could even cause the death of that. You understand that very fact. So that's the same thing that happens in our flower as well. It needs something that would protect it when it's here at the infant stage. This is called the calyx. So the major function of the calyx is to protect these very flower buds at that very particular time. You know, there will be the floral leaves inside it. What do we mean by the floral leaves? Okay, I'll talk about this in seconds. Take note that another name for calyx is Selpas. That's plural form of selpa. So a lot of selpas would come together to form what we mean by calyx. And at this very particular bud stage, it will be fused together. These very selpas will be fused together to be called a calyx. But when this very floral part it grows out of the buds, that's when you would realize selpas on different sides. Now back to the question before I talk about the floral leaves and some other things. When you're talking about this very question, let me answer it now. Well, the sepa is this is the sepa. This is the sepa. Sepa. And this is the sepa also. This is sepa here as well. This is sepa here. So this very sepa, I want you to understand that it's always greenish in color. And this very greenish color makes it to have chlorophyll. And you understand that if something has chlorophyll, that very thing would be able to perform photosynthesis. So I want you to know that selpa can also carry out photosynthesis. So note that. So now when you are talking about the flower, I would like you to know that flower has four main parts. And these four main parts are called They are called floral leaves. Please note that. That was the very thing I was telling you the other time that I will tell you in seconds. And these four floral leaves are one, calyx. I told you I've already talked about calyx. So that's it contains a lot of selpas. So the second one is corolla. And this very corolla is it contains a lot of peltas. And its function is is to attract is to attract animals, is to attract pollinators that will pollinate that very plant. So the third one is called gynoecium, and it's also called pistil. When you are talking about this pistil, it's also called carpels. So there's a lot of carpels. So the next one also is okay. I want to tell you the function of this. When I'm talking about this very pistil, it's it is the female. I'm sorry. It is the female reproductive part of the flower. It consists of of the ovary, the style, the stigma. The fourth one is called androecium, and this is the male reproductive organ of the flower. So it's also called stamens. There's a lot of stamens. So just note that. Now let's go back to calyx. We are talking about this calyx, after flowering, after it has protected the flower bud. In some plants, it might not be useful again, but some other plants could retain it to protect their fruits and their seeds. Question 21. The essential parts of the flower are labeled. So in this very question, we'll use we'll use this diagram. I told you the other time that when we are talking about the main parts of a flower, we call them floral leaves, right? Now let's identify those floral parts. So the first one I will talk about is this VI. VI is that's the stigma, right? So I want to tell you how you would know that it's the stigma. There are a lot of things like this also here. So stigma, this stigma it is an extension from the ovary. Have you seen the extension right now? Yes, that's where the stigma comes from. You understand now? So now talking about this V. It is the style. That's what we call the style. It gives support to the stigma. So the next one I'll talk about now is IV. This IV is what? The IV is what? The IV is the ovule. If you check it very well, it is the ovule. Okay, it might be the ovule or the ovary actually, because this very picture is not clear. But if it points inside to that very small dot that inside it, that looks like that looks like a very small dot. So it is called the ovule. But if it is referring to the entire this entire place. Referring to this entire place, that's when it is called the ovary. So note that. So the ovary, the ovule, the style, and the stigma. Even without me telling you that this part is a female part, I think you should understand that it's a female organ of flower. Do you understand right now? So now let's talk about the next part that we have here. So the next one is let's talk about this. Actually, it is not really pointed out. Oh, okay. Let me start from this. Let me start from I. So talking about this I, we call it petal. Though I said this already, but let me just repeat myself. When I'm talking about these petals, if you gather all the petals that you can find on a flower, the collective name we call these petals is the corolla. See, please note that. I would also like to tell you that the importance of these petals, flower wouldn't have anything like pollinator and all that if there is nothing like petals there. These petals attract all these animals and all that, birds, even we human. Because if you can't see a flower brightly colored, you won't go there to get something. You won't go there to pluck it and all that. So it is this very petal that makes it possible for the flower to be pollinated, because it attracts the pollinators. I think this will be the right time. I think this will be the right time for me to pick my answer and get right to the next question. So talking about these very options, okay, we are asked the essential parts of the flower. Please note it. We are not told parts of the flower. So now let's check through the options. So talking about the very first option, that's A. We are given I, and I. That's So let's check through. We are talking about this I. It's part of the floral part I told you the other time. So that's the floral leaves I told you the other time. Talking about I is okay, I is also is sepal. It is a sepal. So it is part of the floral part I told you the other time, right? So check I. We're talking about this I is is the receptacle. Note that it is is the receptacle. It's not part of the essential parts of flower. So I is not part of it. It's not part of the essential part of a flower. So anywhere you see this I, you should know that the option is not correct. So that we will be fast with this and we will get right to the next question. So if you look at B has I, so it is not correct. If you check C has I, so it is not correct. So the answer now is what? Is IV, V, and VI. If you check through, let's check through IV and V and VI, so that we what? We'll check if it is correct truly, and what? We'll get right to the next question. This is some of the techniques you can use to what? To get your answer without wasting your time, because the time will not be enough in the exam hall. You have to what? You have to just to shave out things and what? Be very fast with everything you do. So what is IV? When you look at IV is what? It could be the ovule and what? Or the ovary. You know, I told you the other time, ovule or the ovary, because this very picture is not that very clear. Okay, whatever the case could be, if it is IVO, if it is the ovule or the what, or the ovary, I want to tell you that this ovule and the ovary, it's the part of the what? Of the pistil. That's the female reproductive organ of a flower. So it is what? It is still one of the floral parts, one of the floral leaves of what? Of this very flower. It's one of the essential parts of the flowers. So do what? You know that IV is correct already. So checking, let's look at V. Let's talk about V. V is what? V is the style. And when we are talking about this style, the style is what? It gives support to the what? To the stigma. You know, the stigma will be on top of the style. So now let's talk about this style. We're talking about this style, this stigma, and all that. It's part of what? Of the female reproductive organ. So you know what? There is no how you would do what? You would leave that as an essential part of one of the as one of the essential parts of what? Of the flower. And I would also like you to know that the stigma, that's VI, is what? It's that very place that what? The pollen grains will be dropped. So these pollen grains would find its way to the what? To the ovary. So just note that, you know, style would give it support, and the pollen grains would go through to the ovary. After we verified IV and V, the next thing for us is to what? Is to check our VI. So what is this VI? VI is what? Stigma. I think I talked about stigma already. So the answer to this question is what? Is D. That's what? IV, V, and VI. You see, this very question is very, very what? Is very, very simple. So let's take our answer. IV, V, and VI. Question number 22. Deficiency in the insulin could lead to A. Cirrhosis, B. Hepatitis, C. Diabetes, D. Nephritis. Before we talk about anything, I would like us to understand what we mean by what? Insulin. I'm talking about insulin. Insulin is an hormone, and this very hormone is what? It regulates the metabolism of carbohydrates, fat, and what? And protein. By what? It regulates it by what? By promoting the absorption of glucose from the blood to the liver, the fat, and the muscular and the skeletal muscle. Please note that. So that's what an insulin is. But I want now to tell you that what? Insulin is produced in the pancreas. So when you've known that already, the next thing for you to understand is that what? If there is deficiency of this very insulin, what could it cause to our body? How essential is this very insulin to our body? This is what this question is based upon. But before then, I would like to treat all these options for us to get the best. When I'm talking about this cirrhosis, when you're talking about this cirrhosis, it is associated with what? Liver. It's a chronic liver damage. So talking about the causes, it is what? It could be caused by what? All these alcoholic drinks, fat, and some certain medications. So just note that. And toxic meals as well. It could be caused by that. So the next option is what? Is the hepatitis. I'm talking about this hepatitis. Hepatitis also is what? It's associated with what? The liver. That's the inflammation of the liver. That's the next one here is what? Is diabetes. Talking about the diabetes. Diabetes is what? Is a chronic condition associated with the abnormally high levels. When you have high level of what? Of sugar in your blood, it could be caused. That's the very thing I was telling you that what insulin will do. Insulin would regulate the amount of the metabolism of protein, fat, and what? And carbohydrates by what? By making it possible for us to control the glucose that is in our body, that is in our blood. So after it has, this very insulin will make it possible for us to control the glucose that is in our blood. This very glucose that is in our blood will now be sent to the skeletal muscle. That's a part of the muscle. It's one of the parts of the muscle. We have different types of muscle. So if you want to know even more about this muscle and all that, I can explain that in the video you can see on the screen right now. I even talked about how our muscle is being turned to what? To meat. So you can just check it. That's question 11. That is on the screen right now. You can click that video and watch it. That's after you go and watch this video to the end, because there are a lot of things I will say in this video and you must not miss them. And I would like you to also note that what? This glucose is not only sent to the skeletal muscle, it is also sent to the liver. And when it is being sent, it helps to what? To process this very thing from glucose to glycogen, glucose to fat. So it depends on that very place that it's being sent to. If it is being sent to the liver, it will process it to what? To glycogen, and it will process it also to what? It's also to process it to what? To fat. So note that it's very essential. After we've explained insulin to some extent, I think the next thing is for us to know how it is related to what? Diabetes. So talking about this insulin being related to diabetes, there are some times that it might be, I told you that what? The pancreas what? Produces what? Insulin. So if there is deficiency of this insulin, it will cause another thing. And that very thing is called diabetes. Let me also make this known to you that this diabetes, as at now, this very today that I'm doing this video, diabetes is not curable, but it can be managed. So most of the people that would have this diabetes or that, it is not curable, but they are what? They are being managed. There are some people that will need just this insulin, and because of these people that would need insulin, maybe their body is deficient in the area of producing insulin, they will do what? The very thing that would be needed is what? Is for the insulin to be produced in chemical form, just like pills, just like the thing that you can see on the screen right now. So it will be injected. It's just like injection. It will be injected into the body. It has how they do it. I don't really, it's not really advisable for someone to be saying things like this online. But just understand it that what is injected, and the patient will not be with the doctor forever. So the patient will be taught how to use this injection. And there are some other devices that will be given to the person to check regularly the glucose level of the blood. So this will be used to regulate the blood sugar, if it is low or if it is high in the body of that very person. Option D, that's the nephritis. I'm talking about nephritis. Nephritis is what? It's caused by infections, and it is the inflammation of the kidney. So note that. Okay. If you want to know those people that like some of the symptoms that you would realize in people that have this nephritis is what? They will pass out urine, and the urine would contain blood and protein. So note that. There are some other things that you will see. Their urine will be cloudy, and they will have pain in their pelvis and some other things. So note that. Before I move to the next question, if you have anything that is not clear to you in biology, try to drop the comments in the descriptions in the comments box. I'll try to reply you as fast as possible. If I will make a video on it or thereabout, I would know. And I also want to create a WhatsApp group, but I'm not very sure if people will respond. But looking at our population, if it's encouraging, I would create it, and people will benefit more from it. Even without me making videos, people will be able to learn more. Please don't also forget to like this video, and also subscribe to this channel so that you get more updates. Question number 23. Actually, this question, it's simple, but let's just see how it will go as I divine them, as I divine the options that are in this question. So which of the following forms of energy is utilized during photosynthesis? I'm talking about the energies that are utilized during photosynthesis. The energy that is utilized during photosynthesis, there is nothing else we are referring to. We are referring to what? The energy being tapped from what? From the sun. Now, and that's what? That's the solar energy. But let's talk about option A. Option A is what? Potential. When we're talking about potential energy is energy that a body has because of what? Of its position relative to other body, like to other objects. And it could be also to the effect of, like, after that it could be also the effect of stretches and all other things associated with what? The very body. So talking about kinetic energy is only seen in a body that what? That is moving. And I'm talking about moving objects. That's when we calculate kinetic energy in them. And you know, I expect you to know that if you are calculating kinetic energy, especially in physics, you've been taught very well that what is half mv squared. Calculating potential energy, it is what? Mgh. That's what? Mass times acceleration times height. If you observe this very equation, you would understand that what? It doesn't have what? Velocity. It doesn't have distance. If you check mass, acceleration, height, you see that there is nothing like what? A moving distance there. It's just the height of that object. That's what? Mgh. Now talking about half mv squared. That's what? M, that's the mass, right? V, that's the velocity. When I'm talking about velocity it's what? It is the what? It's a speed in a specified direction. It's also equal to speed, but it's what? It's in a specified direction. The difference between velocity and speed is what? Is that what? Speed is not really in a specified direction, but what? Velocity is what? Is in a specified direction. So, and if you check the what would I call it? The formula. What's the meaning of velocity? Velocity will give you what? Distance over time. Distance over time. Distance covered. Total distance covered over what? Over time. And that's what? Why you are going, the distance you cover, that's it. So just understand that what? Kinetic energy is the energy that is observed what? In a moving object. Well, maybe some days or there, but I'm not very sure, but I just want to finish this biology, and I want to be settled with biology before I talk about physics and all that. I might also take physics tutorials as well. But let's just continue with this biology. So let's see how far we can go. Click and watch one of the two videos you can see on the screen right now. The one at the top would help you to pass Waec this year. It asks what those that had excellent results in their. The second one would help you on the last past question that I solved on biology. If you've not subscribed, click the red subscribe button and also click the notification bell. On this positive note, I end this video.